prosperity team is Dr. Money. I'm your professor of prosperity, and I'm coming to you from the prosperity corner of the universe where silliness is sacred and nobody's perfect. I'm sure you've heard of Napoleon Hill. What's his big book? Yeah, that's right. Think and Grow Rich. Did you know how he happened to write that book, where he got his information? He was working for a self-help magazine, sort of a self-help magazine, and his editor wanted him to go interview the most successful business people in the country. And for 20 years he did that. And from those interviews, he developed his famous book, Think and Grow Rich. One of the people he interviewed was Andrew Carnegie. Yes, that rings a bell. Not Dale Carnegie, but Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate. He was the one who built the steel industry in this country. And Napoleon Hill interviewed him and got some information from him and found that Carnegie said that success really was something that could be codified. And he had what he called the 17 principles of achievement. And he says if somebody goes by these 17 principles of achievement, they're going to be successful. And he said that he started out, the first principle was really to know what you wanted. That was a goal, to decide what it was. And he says that 98% of the people in this country don't know what they want, and only 2% of the people really know what they want. And he said that before he was very successful and he was still working as a day laborer, he got together a group of friends and they got together every night. It was his mastermind group, and each one would help the other one with their goal. And his goal was to, I guess, was to form a great steel industry and have his own company. And every night he would get suggestions from his friends on what he could do to make that happen. And he did this until he became very, very wealthy. And he did have the huge steel industry. As a matter of fact, he had a different way to do it than anyone else had worked with steel, because I think he owned all of the ingredients. He had a company for all of the ingredients that went into the steel and to the manufacturing of it. He was very, very successful. And one of the things that he thought was very, very important was his principle of doing more than you were paid for. Now, there are two sides of that principle, but let me give you what he says. He says that you need to do more work than what you're paid for, because if you only do what you're paid for, then you don't deserve to get any more money, because you're being paid what you're worth, you're getting paid for the work that you're doing. And so he also says that if you see somebody that says, this isn't my job, I'm not going to do this, then you're looking at a person, he said, that's never going to move up the ladder or never going to make more money. And I'm thinking that the other side of that is that some people are in jobs where they're being taken advantage of, and there are not enough people to do the work, and they're overworked. And so this principle doesn't work for them at all. But there are situations in our work and in our everyday lives where we can do more than what we're called on to do. And what this does is it develops a sense of generosity. For example, for about 5 years, I was an Allstate insurance agent, and I had to sell life insurance. And one of the goals I had was to make life millionaire. I wanted to win a trip to Bermuda. And that, I lived and breathed and ate that as a success story. I wanted it so badly. And I had a huge commitment. And one of the people that worked with me gave me some of his business because he could see how much I wanted it, and he had already made the life millionaire status, and he didn't need it. It wasn't very much money in terms of what the money that he was giving up for his commission, but he was doing what is called the law of, giving more than you're paid to give. And this particular man went on to become one of the most financially successful agents they had ever had in the company. He was incredible, and he always went that extra mile. So and more than actually the action that we do when we help somebody out, It's the feeling that we have. It's that I really want to help you out. Not like I'm trying to be really good and earn points. It's the generosity, because generosity is a flow. And remember, there are two sides, and that is that we want to be able to give, like, when we breathe, as we breathe in, I say that's receiving, and as we exhale, that's giving. We want to give, but we don't want to give. The exhale, we can't go and never breathe in, because we'll run out of energy. But we can't just take. Like, I'm only going to do mine. I'm only responsible for my work. Only take in. We have to breathe in and out. It's this flow. It's this moving flow of energy in the universe. So if we want to get ahead, so to speak, then we want to have this generous attitude. Remember, this does not apply if you already give too much. If all you're doing is giving, taking care of other people, not taking care of your own business, this doesn't apply to you. The opposite applies, and that means that you stop, that you focus on your own attention, that you get your own work done and not everybody else's. So there are two sides of this coin. It does require a balance. It requires an equal giving and receiving. So let's do that. Let's breathe in our receiving, and let's give with our out breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Remembering that as we breathe in, we receive our good. And as we breathe out generosity, with generosity, the intention and the want that everyone have their good, that everyone is taken care of and their needs to survive and thrive, and that we receive the same, giving and receiving. And there's one more thing I want you to remember, and that is that I love you.